All right, without any further ado, one of the best, if not the best, Star Trek spin-offs in history. We have two fabulous people from that series, Star Trek: The Next Generation. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Brent Spiner! And the lovely Kate McFadden! Copyrighted by Brent Spiner and Kate McFadden and may not be used for any unauthorized purposes, especially on Facebook. We're going to stand. Get a line.
Is that okay?
Is that all right? Yeah.
And then we're going to lie down. But
Yeah. I'll go first.
Yeah.
No. All right. So, hi everybody.
Thank you very much for coming to see us. This is awesome. Even in this 95-degree weather, which is not so awesome, you know.
This is the best time I've ever had. Okay, that was the best time I've ever had. Thank you so much for coming. Is Zombie Girl here?
No, they are. Here's the thing, there's a few people who are in the bathroom because there's like a bunch
Oh, there's a, yeah. Shall we wait for them to get back? All right, good. Okay. You know what? I don't want to waste your time here. Gates, why don't you run along? That's, I'm kidding. You know, we are very close, Gates and I. As a matter of fact, I am her son's godfather. Isn't that right?
I don't have a son.
No. He's 47 years old today. I want to wish him a happy birthday.
Yes, that's true. He is the godfather of my child.
I am.
I've made a few mistakes and then, you know, I do my best, all right?
And I have guided him religiously. Isn't that what it's supposed to be, right?
That is. It's supposed to be that.
That's what God parenting is supposed to be. You're their religious guide,
Yes.
or whatever.
And I remember very much that day very well.
I do too.
All I can say is boy, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, have we had enough of this? Shall we ask some questions? Shall we do, you know, we do that sort of Shatner-esque thing. You ask a question, and then we do 30 minutes. So we've got time for one or two questions, I think, and then we're out of here. Let's start with questions. We have one person who wants to know something.
So, after all of these years, what really sticks with you at this point from your time on the show?
I think oatmeal, right? Oh, for the show. I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry. You want to go ahead?
No, you go ahead.
Very little, actually. I remember my character's name. He had a cat, I think.
A redhead cat, yes.
Yeah, two, actually. One male, one
I directed
female.
one of them, so I know this. Yes.
Do you remember that? The male and the female? Okay.
I remember. I also know how to turn you on, so let's not go there.
That's true. I think I could probably turn you on too if I had to. You know what? Believe it or not,
speaking of the moment of turning me on, that's a euphemism, by the way, for something. I'm getting a phone call right now, and whatever it is, an email, I'm gonna read it to you. It says, my son Kevin recently graduated from the International something program at Land Lakes High School in Florida. As part of the community reach, this is the kind of interesting stuff I get. All right, never mind.
Basically, nothing stuck for him, right?
No, I want to tell him about one moment that stuck with me because she brought it up, the turning me on moment. So I'm going to illustrate this, but not a lot. Maybe better. Well, we had this episode. I don't remember the name of the episode. I'm sure you do. Perhaps you could remind me. But Dr. Crusher, played by Gates McFadden, came behind me and pressed the button. I think it was the first time that ever happened on the show. Pressed the button to turn me off, which she can do. And she turned me off, and I fell forward onto a table. The game. Thank you so much. Hermione, if I may call you that. So, we did the rehearsal. I remember the director was Corey Allen, who directed our pilot too, by the way, called Encounter at Farpoint, exactly. And first rehearsal, Gates comes behind, we figured out where the button's going to be, she pressed it, I fell forward, and I hit my chin on the edge of the table.
You needed a doctor, and there wasn't one around.
Exactly.
What they were doing.
Exactly. But you know that is the classic place that most people have stitches in their lives, is on their chin. The mandible bone, I believe it's called. Anyway, they had to rush me to an emergency room in full Data makeup. I went in, they took me in, the doctor sewed it up, we went back to the set, we resumed where we left off. The director said to me, "Do you mind doing it again?" So, but indeed, Michael Westmore puts a patch. He was our makeup artist, and he put a patch of something under and made up over it. You can't see it.
But you were an android, so you didn't really feel anything at all.
Well, I didn't feel it, no, but I still bleak, right?
I thought that was a special effect.
No, that was real blood running down my uniform. Anyway, I still have the scar right here from that day, and I always think of you when I touch it. Matter of fact, it turns me on. Sorry, what do you remember? Enough from me.
I remember your cat. That was a highlight. That was nice. But actually, my mind is more towards the medical. So, I remember the day that I put all those stickers on your trailer, and that pissed you off.
I don't remember that.
Like Hello Kitty things.
Oh.
Somebody had sent me a lot of Hello Kitty things, and I thought, kind of, whatever. He had a cat. It seemed good. No, I kind of remember when your godson, my child,
Yes.
really, he kind of grew up around the set, and I remember just kind of where he would be, I'd go, "This is your godfather," and he'd look at this person with yellow eyes, and chartreuse face, and then
He would scream, like uncontrollably.
And I remember, and he sort of was salivating on the uniforms, but you had to go get repowdered, and then
That's right.
he didn't even know who Michael Dorn was. When he saw Michael Dorn after years, I think he was like, he didn't know who he was because he thought it was Worf, and
Right.
he didn't make that connection. So there were a lot of things like that I really remember in terms of Star Trek, because my son literally was a baby, and his first 3 years were on the set, and he learned to walk on the, what did we call it, where we...
The transporter pad?
Yeah, no, where did you drive?
Oh,
the thing, the horseshoe.
The horseshoe,
The engine room where we all were driving. What?
The bridge.
And we were all ready room. Like that a lot.
You know, speaking of being in a ship, and this is really true, that we worked so many hours on the show. We would do between 16 and 20 hours almost every day. And so I had very little time to do anything else. And I didn't watch the show much, but occasionally I would turn it on. And when I would see the ship go by, I thought I was in it.
No, it's true. It was so cool. But then when you would go like on vacation and you just lay down, like I remember being somewhere and I looked up and there were the stars and it was like, oh, I'm like at work. You know, it was like, it looked like the backdrop that we had the star wheel. And it was just so, but.
Exactly. Nobody's filming this, are they? Oh, good. This isn't going to be on YouTube, is it? Oh, good. That was 30 minutes, I think, for that question. Can we move on? Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hi, Brad. Hi, Gates.
Hi.
This message is actually for Gates.
Oh, go ahead.
First of all, I liked you when you played a judge in Franklin and Bash.
Oh, thank you.
That's cool.
Thank you. That was my friend Jason Ensler, who he's a longtime friend of mine, and he just said, "Hey, you want to do an episode?" And I said, "Yeah." So it was fun. They are very funny guys. Those guys, I'll tell you, they really are funny.
Yeah. Can you please tell the story behind your name?
Oh, that's not so terribly interesting. I mean, it was my mother's side of the family came from Lithuania, and they made them change the name when they got to Ellis Island, and so they went to Gates. And Gates was just that was my middle name at birth, and it was a nickname when I was a kid, Gatesy. And so I just decided after being Cheryl Gates in Fed for a long time, I had never really felt that Cheryl was right for me. I just felt there's something about things, doors opening, closing, Gates, I don't know, something. Airport, I was in the airport a lot, I thought, Gates, that's a good name. And so I just, and it kind of coincided with the Star Trek. So it was also a way of separating I had done choreography and I'd done other stuff, and I don't know. Anyway, Gates is the name I really prefer.
You're also a wonderful dancer.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. She is a sophomore in high school. Do you believe that?
What?
Yes. She was homeschooled.
You're in your 40s. How can that be?
Anyway, I don't mean to embarrass you. I just kept saying, so what college, what college are you going to?
Yeah, she goes to Starfleet Academy, clearly. I knew Gates when you were Cheryl, didn't I?
He did.
I did. We'd known each other long before the series.
That's part of the problem, but we work it out.
I liked you better when you were Cheryl. No, I'm kidding. All right. No, I like you better as Gates. Yeah. Easy. You have a question?
Yes. Brent, I'm very sorry. This is for you.
No apologies necessary.
You see, the men are always that way. Just anyway. Yes.
You and Patrick Stewart both complained that your characters did not have enough love in their characters' lives. Well, you had each other, and through the series, there was a constant romance between you two. Giving your way, how would it have ended during the series? Thank you.
You mean that I can actually talk about? I don't know what they teach you in homeschooling, but I have to be careful here. Well, it's true. We did start, and they were on their knees to us. That's a new thing. I've never seen that. Please. Okay, I feel like I should answer that, but I just had knee surgery, so. I always thought that he was quite wonderful, and I don't know the answer to that. I think the studio wanted to go a different direction because I know that was the character, I was his love interest, as it were, on that season. But he was always in my heart, and we wrote each other little notes, and I'd leave them under the Shakespeare book, and
YouTube.com.
Yeah. Dana, you mean not to see you? Oh my God.
No, darling, obviously you can't hear me. Yes.
Well, anyway, so, but they did finally give me an episode where I had a love interest other than the captain, and when I was 7 months pregnant. For real. I was 7 months pregnant, and it was like, oh, I get to have a love interest in this script. I was like out to here, and I'm like, great, okay, that's going to be really sexy. Okay. Anyway.
Who was that? That was a guy.
That was the Trill thing.
He was a Trill.
That was actually a really cool episode. Yeah.
See, but the actor, do you remember the actor? Who? Frank Luz. Was it Frank Luz? Oh, yes, Frank. Oh, Frank's a great guy. I did Little Shop of Horrors with
And the
Frank.
episode was called The Trill, right?
The host.
That's what I said. That was just and you good, very good. Okay. All right. Should we go to another question?
Frank Luz, I did.
We have a feeling this one's yours. I have a feeling.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Really, don't be ashamed if you don't. If you have no interest in me whatsoever. I completely understand.
Actually, you played a lot of cool parts in a lot of episodes, like in episodes where there was where Laura featured, and also
Dr. C.
Full of Davis,
Oh, the Dr.
where you got to play a whole bunch of characters in holodeck. And I was just wondering, each of you, which episode was the one that you most enjoyed working on as an actor?
Never really enjoyed it as an actor. But as an employee, I enjoyed it enormously. The entire 7 years, by the way. You know what's funny? I don't know how Gates feels about this, but we really did work such long hours for so many days, for so many years, that it seems like one long episode to me. It doesn't seem like there were different hours because, you know, you see it, you sit down on the couch, it's 52 minutes or whatever it is with commercials, and it's over. But we were there for so long doing every, scene over and over and over and all that it really does seem like this huge, epic thing that we were a part of. And did I answer that? No. I actually enjoyed doing the Western a lot because Patrick also directed that one, and it was fun.
I really liked doing anything where there was any comedy with my character. I really liked. And one of the ones that was very funny, even though I was very naughty, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to unzip my jumpsuit. We weren't supposed to have zippers in that century, but I didn't know. But I really liked going back in the 40s. I thought that was the big buy. It was really fun for me because I got to do some other things, and I got to, it was just fun to do trips and play
We had
around.
a lot of those, though, really, that were fun. I mean,
Yeah.
the tap dance,
That was fun. We actually got to, we kind of like were able to construct the scene ourselves, and that was really fun.
But we got to do Three Musketeers, and we got to do all kinds of
But you
stuff.
know, for me, truthfully, I loved directing Genesis. It wasn't a typical Star Trek script, but I loved the whole process of directing. I found my family. But I just, when you're looking at these sets for so long, there were so many things that I finally wanted to use. Like, those jars that had been in my sick bay. Since the first pilot, there were those red, blue, and I was like, I'm going to use those in the episode. Something's coming out of that. It was really, and I really love directing. By the way, I'll do a little, plug here. I'm directing Denise Crosby at my theater, the Outlaw Village Theater. I'm artistic director there. I don't know if you know that. It's Ensemble Studio Theater. And she's got a fabulous part in a new play that we're doing there. So she sent it to me. So anyway, that was my favorite one. Was actually the episode directing. I really loved it.
Hi.
It's her book that you series.
Okay. Thank you. I'll stay there.
I think they could get on their back and then just crawl.
I think they should row at this point. It looks like you're the skull team or the sculling team.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right. Okay.
So, both of you played very, very serious characters, but what was your favorite moment? Yes. What was your favorite moment that you actually got to goof off a lot on set, on camera?
We goofed off nonstop.
It was sort of the only way to deal with it. It was just, in fact, that was one of the things, like everybody, you go on the bridge, if you're trying to do a heavy, serious thing, you better watch out. You better, back down
The more serious the scene, the more we goofed off. And so if you see a really serious, dramatic scene, realize that all the other actors are off stage going.
I mean, there was one time, remember, this was, one of the directors had us look at the stick, and we were all standing in a row, and they were trying to have us look at this stick, and so all of our heads were in a row on the bridge going. And I mean, we did take after take, and then they couldn't use it. Of course, it was like, but we couldn't keep from laughing because you just felt like an idiot.
The hardest I ever laughed on the show was we were doing an episode called Masks. See, I remember some of them. And I was playing a lot of different characters, but one of the characters I was playing was I was the goddess of the moon. And, Patrick was the god of the sun, and I was the goddess of the moon. And it was the last day of the episode, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. We'd gone that long, and I had the mask on, and Patrick was off camera laughing so hard, and he'd make me laugh, and then we were both laughing, and the crew hated us because they wanted to go home so bad, and so did we, but we couldn't help ourselves. We looked so stupid. But,
Bonsoir. 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 Ça va? Ça va?
My usual question when I go to celebrity panel is what was the funniest thing that happened, but since that's already been asked.
You still have what was the funniest thing? Oh, you can ask this 10 more times.
Well, my other question that I usually ask is, for the two of you during that show, for each of you, what do you think was there a defining moment where you felt that your ability as an actor was at its peak and it was really reflected
on that show? Sure, that's, you're kidding, right? You have an answer to that? I don't think I really ever reflected on it like that, but I can spend some time thinking about it and get back to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think maybe I don't know for you or not, but I know that there's nothing like when you're doing live theater, it's like a start to finish performance, and there's a whole different type of adrenaline high than when you're doing little scenes or snippets, and then you wait like 2 months before you see it put together and things like that. So there are moments, but it's a different thing than actually like doing an entire show where you do the rehearsing for X number of weeks and you do it start to finish. That to me is where I would say more acting-wise, those have been my most memorable moments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bonsoir.
Hey there. Hi. So this is a question about the movie, right? In Star Trek Generations, you cry yellow tears.
Yeah.
And from the time I saw that when I was a kid, to now, I wondered how did you cry yellow tears? How did the effects team make that happen? And it kind of also begs the question, what was it like as stage actors yourselves dealing with so much practical effects, and then digital effects as well, throughout the whole experience of the show?
The yellow tears, I had yellow tears, actually.
That's what I thought originally. I thought you just had to pee really bad and then let you go back. That was my answer when I was like 15.
Yeah, I mean, those costumes did not have zippers in them. But dealing with digital effects, I guess we learned everything we could possibly learn about dealing with digital effects and things like that, and blue screen. And I actually developed a whole school of how to act with the blue screen or green screen, whatever you're using. I wanted to teach a class in it, but it's a very simple thing. I only had one lesson. Is You just stare at it. and that's it. And it works somehow.
And then see red silhouettes for the rest of the day.
Well, that's true. So you cry yellow tears then.
But I think I had a hard time, for some reason, it really wouldn't be a surprise to you, but I really took me longer, I think, than anybody to understand the thrill on things. Like, I remember for the whole first season, they would put sandbags, and that's when you were supposed to stop, when you would feel the sandbag, and the camera's going to stop there. And I would be so into it, I would go up the sandbags and go on the other side. And I totally, because to me, it wasn't the concept of that's your mark. I had real problems with something hitting the mark and not making any noise. Everything was plastic. So you said, I had all those medical instruments, but if I made any noise, we'd have to redo it, because it would ruin somebody's line. So it's like, you're like trying to put it down, but act like it's a really,
The silliest thing we had to do was when the ship was rocked by a photon torpedo, and they would actually say, and shake! It was absurd. We were adults when we were doing
but those ended up being fun.
They were fun,
They
yeah.
were fun. Those were fun. Observation lounge, those were long.
Oh, whenever you see us in the observation
Yeah.
lounge, that's when we want to do
Yeah,
really.
everybody has a close-up. It's like, oh my God, we're going to be here for hours.
Because you're around a table, there's nothing you can do. You got to shoot everybody around the table. Hell. Let me just pitch a couple of my projects right now while there's a pause in the action. I'll be directing Denise Crosby in. I might. No, has anybody seen my web show? Fresh Hell, exactly. Fresh Hell. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube. There's a dedicated website being designed right now. But go on my website, go on YouTube for now, and type in Fresh Hell series, one word, and it'll take you to the channel. There's 5 episodes. Watch all of them. There's 10 more being made this year soon, and I think you'll enjoy it. Other than that, not Monday night, a week from Monday, watch Alphas, because I'm the guest star on that network. Gabe, oh, no, you, yes, hi. Can I call you Gates?
I know what it's doing.
Oh, Cheryl.
My question is for you.
Yes.
It's in the film of the episode Brothers. What was it like playing 3 separate roles and having 2 completely different sets of prosthetic makeup and pulling it out of order?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, it did afford me the opportunity of working with my favorite actor. Or should I say, actors.
So you're working with Gates?
Yeah. I was going to say my least favorite actor was Spot the cat, but that's another story. Oh, have you ever acted with a cat? Please. But you know what? It was a long day, every day on Brothers, because I had to be in at 3 o'clock in the morning to start Dr. Soong's makeup, and basically we shot in one direction. And then we shot in another direction, so I would just change clothes and get out of makeup and get into Data's makeup. And it was long, but it was very rewarding because I got to work with one of the greats. Or should I say 2 of the greats. I really enjoyed it, but that was a really fun episode to do. Rick Berman wrote that episode, by the way. Yeah.
That was one of my better ones.
Thank you. I can see there's a tear. No, it's hi.
This is for but you had already eaten something. I
Oh.
was going to ask you to give us an Patrick Stewart impersonation.
I don't do that, darling. I'm sorry. All right, studios.
Put that in his room.
I do.
Hours.
Hours and hours I do that. You should hear my gaze.
Hey, by the way, I loved it. By the way, I was fortunate enough, I don't know if any of you were able to see Patrick's Merchant of Venice this summer. It was fantastic performance. It was, I think maybe my favorite thing I've ever seen Patrick do. He was amazing in it. So if it comes to New York, and I believe it's going to, I do encourage you to make an effort to see it because he does an extraordinary job.
Excuse me, Gates, Brent, over here, to your right.
I won't be.
That's Sir Patrick.
That's right. That's right.
You may call me Sir Patrick. Also Shylock. See the show.
Right.
How like a fawning publican in books. I hate him.
But he always wants me to just call him Jean-Luc.
Wants me to call him patty cakes.
It's an art. He's not really inspired by his career.
What was that?
Acting.
Oh, you're an actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a wardrobe tech. It pays better. But
I'm kidding.
with your diversity and all the different talents that they let you exhibit, all the different character work you got to do, who was your favorite actor to get to play on?
Well, Gates, of course. What? No. On the show, you know, I have worked with some astounding actors in my life. Everybody on our show was wonderful to work with. We used to love, it didn't matter what the combination was in a day. I loved looking at the call sheet to see who I was going to work with the next day. And it could be one or two or three or everybody, but it was always fun. And, but in other work, I've had some really wonderful opportunities. Probably, for me, the one that when I'm in the old actors' home, the one I'm going to be talking about is that I got to work with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And out to sea, they were just going to work every day was a dream. I'm going to see Jack and Walter and Donald O'Connor and Elaine Stritch, and it was just incredible.
Do you remember when we even that night before I was where we met Sid Caesar
And Jonathan Winters, yeah.
That was amazing.
Awesome. Jonathan Winters, Gates took me, you still belong to the Friars Club? She used to belong to the Friars Club, which is an actors club, and there was not a roast, but a tribute, really. I mean, they roasted him, but it was a tribute to Sid Caesar. And all of these great guys, Larry Gelbart, fantastically funny, and Jonathan Winters was there, and we went up to him and said hello, and he did 20 minutes. I mean, hello sprung 20 minutes of characters and improv. It was fantastic, and Milton Berle was there that night.
I know, I remember. It was like incredible. It was like, yeah, Ernest Borgnine is here, and I'm amazed. You know, I so love his acting.
When I remember Milton Berle, he was in the audience. Milton was probably 90 at the time, something like that. He was smoking a huge cigar and inhaling it. But there was a young comedian named Jeff Ross who is brilliant, and he's like the roast king. He produces all the roasts now. But I remember he got up and he said to Sid Caesar, he said, "Oh, Sid," he said, "this is just a fantastic night. I can't believe I'm here." He said, "The only thing that would make it better is if Uncle Milty was still alive." And Berle got up and went, "You be quiet!" It was just incredible. It was a great evening. Anyone want a plate? I'll sign it. Can we? Yeah, okay. I don't know what this plate is for, but was somebody eating biscuits? All right, who's got a pen? Yeah, first pen. You know, just put it on my bill here at the hotel. Okay?
What is your question?
Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hi. that you weren't in wasn't any good. Thank you.
Well, actually, I mean, for me, I don't really watch that. I don't watch TV. Barely. I haven't seen my Franklin and Bash episode. I haven't, you know. So I don't. After you did that many years of Star Trek, the last thing I personally felt like doing was watching something else about something on a ship and that was there. When I first got the job, I had not ever seen an original Star Trek episode. After I got the job, I did not know what warp speed was, okay? After I got the job, I started watching them, and they were very funny. I thought they were wonderful. I loved the first series very much. Very camp, and also, I love the themes of Star Trek. I love all the writers are amazing on the show. And Gene Roddenberry certainly had his finger on something incredible. But I love science fiction, but I didn't watch all of the other series, so I have to say that quite honestly. But I do like science fiction, and I've watched it in movies, and I've read science fiction books, and I do love science fiction books. I loved the Ridley Scott Alien. Loved that. In fact, that was what I studied a lot when I was going to direct Genesis. You know, they were comparable, but it was just, I love the way he really created tension. I thought he was so brilliant, and the actors were amazing.
I'm sorry, what was your question? Did we watch the movies?
I was just curious about the original series and Voyager and Deep Space Nine and the new Enterprise and the new movie. Like, have you watched it? Did you like it?
I saw probably all of the original series when it first aired. I think I was 3. What? And no, I watched the whole first series, which I loved, and I saw the pilot of Deep Space Nine and the pilot of Voyager, and I did 3 episodes of Enterprise, although I didn't see those. I think I saw the pilot for Enterprise too. But they were at screenings that they invited us to come to, and so I went. But, as Gabe said, we spent so much time in that world, it really just, there was so much other stuff to see, since, we'd already been there.
And also, if I say, I was the only one who had a small child at that. I mean, that was a big deal, and I really felt I had so many hours of work. I really didn't want to go to some of the things that we were invited to and take another evening away from. I really loved being, with my child as much as possible, and also I ended up being I was in Hawaii for a while. So it's just hard. I mean, it's a deal. There's some people who love to get dressed up and go to those things. For me, it's it's not as thrilling for me that way. But I'm saving all of those Star Trek things for the convalescent home because I'm like really gonna
Yes. You know what? I think they were all really quality productions, and certainly for their time they were. I mean, everything ages, to a degree, unless it's like, Chaplin or something, or Buster Keaton. But for their time, and I thought they were like superb hour dramas that everybody did. There were great casts on every show, and the longer it goes on, the more happy I am to have been a part of it, seriously, because it really is. Star Trek is sort of, I think, the biggest thing that's ever happened in American entertainment. I mean, there's, what else compares? I think it's like 4.5 years from now, it'll be 50 years that there's been Star Trek nonstop available. And, obviously there's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's certain silliness that's part of Star Trek, and as it should be. But on the other hand, once you hit 50 years, you got to take it seriously, no matter who you are. And that's evident.
And also, I think that's something that for me, when I started, I didn't have any idea. But as I traveled and I met fans and I saw the impact of that, I mean, really, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then there was the time where you go to the museums and they're showing what Star Trek talked about, and then you're seeing the real scientific things that have happened out of it. The futurists who have been predicting this, that Roddenberry was working with. It's really extraordinary, and I was able to see the launch of one of the shuttle mission flights, and it was life-changing. I mean, I kept going, wow, this is what you're really doing. I'm just pretending to do it every day. And it was very, very amazing. And when I did a USO tour in Bosnia, there were guys who carried 80 pounds only. You know, they had 80 pounds and they'd have their backpack and they'd have a Star Trek novel. This is like, and I really started to see the impact it had on a lot of people's lives. And it was
It's rewarding, it really
Yeah,
is.
it is.
It makes you really happy that it goes way beyond even what I imagined it was, and which was primarily entertainment. And hopefully that is primarily what it is. But there are all kinds of offshoots that are much deeper and much more rewarding. I'm sorry, we're done, Ron. Okay.
You just mentioned your tour in Boston, and I met you there, and you promoted me to sergeant.
That's amazing. I mean, that really was a very important week in my life. I was very humbled by what people like yourself do.
We're quite humbled by your ability to walk in that tent after not having showers for the first 3 weeks I've been there. So it's quite an amazing feat on your part. So I wanted to thank you for that.
She was saying it's quite an amazing feat on your part, too.
Let's take our boots off.
Yeah.
Well, what was amazing on that show is, I mean, I actually thought it was going to be the whole cast of Star Trek. I thought we were all kind of going on this thing, or that at least it was this other show with a lot of other people. And when I found out it was only me doing this shows, I was like, what am I going to do as a show? So I was terrified because I thought they're going to expect me to, whatever. And I was this middle-aged,
What did you do?
I promoted him. I promoted him. It's a big affair, right? Come on.
Actually, I'm still in. I'll be retiring shortly.
Thank you so much.
You'll need that for,
Anyway, so what are you doing now?
Actually, I'll be retiring in another year.
Wow.
So, been promoted
Yeah,
once or
maybe
twice more.
let's retire together. I'm thinking about it too.
I guess my question's for Brent then. Where were you?
Seriously, I was entertaining the troops in Galveston that weekend on the beach. Yeah. I wish I'd been. That would have been great. You're not stationed. You're not still abroad, are you?
No, I just got back.
You just got back. Oh, you're here now. You're not a hologram. Sci-fi. I think everyone's a hologram nowadays.
We did that over in Iraq too.
Yeah, I bet.
I just got back there a couple months ago. So.
Wow. I bet. Well, keep going, guy.
You know what? I might promote you again. So
Would you like to be colonel? He could be a movie star, couldn't he? He's got it. You have it.
you've got it.
Okay.
Yes.
Really?
Well, that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, no kidding.
A very simple question. This is a data question.
So something frivolous.
Something completely frivolous
Yeah.
compared to the last week.
Yeah.
And in the weight team nation, let's say two weight teams are compared against each other. Data versus Worf, who wins that fight? And why? And I want to know why.
One has super strength.
Both has
One has a big head.
I could argue that both have super strength, though.
I think you'd be wrong. I think, he's more padded than I am. I'll give you that. But no. Data.
Besides, a lot of those You know, it really took a lot of artistic finesse, and he was much better on the violin. He was.
I was.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Others?
Always vote for me. Please.
All right, first I gotta say I love you guys both.
Thank you.
Weird thing, but of all time, you're actually my favorite character on Star Trek.
Thank you. I love you too. Why not?
My question is actually,
Just make our own away team, right?
because you had a character that was good show motion.
Yes.
One of the difficulties of getting to the character before scenes.
Getting into character, you know what? It was so simple, really. It really was, because I didn't have to do anything, you know? I just had to show up. The most difficult thing was waking up in the morning. So tired. And, well, I actually had to be there before anybody else to get into my makeup, but honestly, Data was sort of a wonderful character to play, because I had this sort of symbiotic relationship with the audience, which was basically, I would say, I do not feel anything, and then I would just stand there, and the audience would paint the feelings on me themselves. I would get all of these letters from people going, that scene, I could tell you were really feeling something, and I would, thank you very much. I enjoy your work enormously. So it was nice. It wasn't, you know, I had a lot of lines to learn. That was the most difficult part, was learning just pages of things that didn't mean anything, you know. Yeah. Hey.
Thanks for coming up seeing me, by the way.
Oh, delighted. Anytime, of course.
You guys both have played these iconic characters that a generation worldwide knows. Has that really stunted you in doing other acting work? Have you found an opportunity to break away from that? Or does that just precede you in every audition that you've gone to? And maybe even help you on the way?
I think it precedes us even before the audition. We don't get the audition because it's preceded us. Well, I think it has had. I think there is there's something about playing iconic characters that, and one doesn't plan for that, you know, it just sort of happens. But I do think it becomes an obstacle more than a help in terms of doing other work. And you have to sort of overcome that and convince people that you can do other things. And yeah.
I think yes and no. I don't really know for me personally if I felt that enormously, just because I also, when I stopped Star Trek, I was immediately into another series, and the reason I took that series was I was only going to have to shoot 2 days a week, and I could spend time with my family. So I think that I started to be able to do other things, and Star Trek allowed me to do other things that I'd always wanted to do, and that have things that have led me to exactly what I'm doing today, which is really something that's a passion, and it's something that I'm very happy doing, which is developing new plays, new ideas. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it would have had it happen in a different way, but for me, I was like so ready to spend time not maybe going out on auditions and everything. Now that's not to say if someone had offered me some incredible parts, of course that would have been great. No one was doing that, but it's fun to do. So I like to do it when a friend says, "Hey, you want to do an episode of this? It's really fun." Do I like going up and slogging to go to it? Someone says, "Go for this audition, go for this audition." You have so little control in your life as an actor that's something that actually I didn't love. I don't like. That's why sometimes I like theater a lot, because you have a little bit more control of the performance when it's you. The curtain goes up, and you get a satisfaction out of it. It's so that's personal. And also I loved Brett when he did Man of La Mancha. I don't know if any of you got to see that. He was incredible in that. I mean, he was great, and that's something that is different from doing just an episode or something.
Yeah, well, you rehearse for a few weeks, and then you're on your own.
But you have a relationship with the audience. By the time we go through that journey with you, it's really a different thing. And you feel that when you do a movie, but there's a lot of distance when.
It's all fun. But that's a different kind of fun. You know,
I think that a lot of people here would like to see you guys as a spectrum of community as opposed to individual. That
well, does anybody here produce feature films or Broadway, network television? You? Oh, okay, get on it, man. We're dying here. Get on it.
You know, believe it or not, there's a lot of young people who I talk to who have never seen Star Trek, and you know, like I'll be talking to them at the theater or something, and they have no idea that I was on Star Trek or what. They've never watched an episode. So it pigeonholes in a certain group, but it doesn't in another group. So it just depends on what you want to do.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. One more. How many more do we have there? One, two, three, four, five. We can do five really fast. We're not going to take a lot of time.
Hi, I just wanted to say you guys have been a really huge inspiration to me, and you guys are the rock stars of sci-fi.
Oh, thank you so much. You're too kind.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
And the fans make it happen. So thanks to you as well.
Don't get it, really.
You guys make it happen.
I wanted to ask that so far at DragonCon, what has been your strangest fan experience at DragonCon?
You probably know.
Thank you.
Okay, rock and roll. Let's go.
I loved you in 1776.
Oh, thank you.
Very great.
That was a lot of fun. Well, probably should have, but...
Will you be coming back in the near future for
To Broadway?
musical theater?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at, I actually had a meeting last week with a couple of people who are producing some shows, probably not next year, but maybe the year after, and hopefully one of them will happen, because I'd love to. I'm dying to get back to New York. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks so much. I'll look for you. You have a tattoo, right? Yeah.
This is Christian Gates. One of the stories that Hedges likes to tell during the episodes is the direction is given, and it's supposed to, your lying down is supposed to reach in and grab you and pull you back, and he says that during that time you reached in and you basically felt you up. And do you remember that? I mean, is that something you...
They were all memorable. All those moments, yes, very memorable.
Okay, so you don't actually remember it.
Well, I'll tell you what I remember more is the night that the moment of Brent and me, and we were going to be, it was honoring Gene Roddenberry, right?
Yes.
And I had someone in the costume department said, you know, let's do a dress together. Let's do a dress. Okay, so we did this dress, and it had all these little hooks and eyes, like about 100 of them, okay? And they went down here. So it's the night of the thing, and I didn't get to try it on with them. She said, I think it'll be fun. And I'm ready, and I was going to meet you at your house, right? You two were over there, and I was
Me and Jonathan.
Yeah, and as I bend down to say goodnight to my son, the whole dress comes over. Okay, so I'm like, oh boy. So I get there, and again, I had just sort of gotten it closed up, and they come and we get in the limo, and it doesn't stay closed, okay? And so I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? There's a lot of press, maybe just literally. And so both of them are I don't know who's on down here and who's
One
on
of us
here.
did the top, one did the bottom.
And they are doing, so we are in the limo, and they are over me, and they're pressing these things, and I'm going, oh, yeah. And there's two guys on me, right? And I looked up, and I saw the limo driver, and I was like, oh my God. So yeah.
He was enjoying it much more than she was. Two more, and we got a book.
Hi,
Hey.
sorry, this is a little downer after that funny answer you gave. Back in sort of, when the Next Gen was on, there wasn't that many female role models, certainly in England, for some of my age, so thank you, you were a real role model. And it was
That is a downer.
Yeah. No. But next bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but certainly in England, like Sideline gave us female role models and still do. What was frustrating though for me certainly was when the movies came out, as much as I enjoyed them, I felt that the female characters kind of were diminished slightly. I just thought you felt that really.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it was disappointing. It really was. I felt that it suddenly was no longer the ensemble,
Yeah.
and But, you know, I mean, I was glad that the franchise was going on and for everybody. But yeah, it was disappointing. Yeah. Not really. No.
Thank you.
The last question. No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever to actually give you guys a chance to literally end this on a high note. From your musical and dance backgrounds, if you guys produced Star Trek the musical, what would the 10 o'clock number be?
Well, obviously Data would be Nathan Lane, right?
Well, I can definitely see a whole number where I'm going, you know, turn him off, you know. There could be something there and he's turn me on, whatever.
I don't know. That's a great question.
Great idea.
No answer, but.
Great idea.
Do you mind if we sell that? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for being here.